Hi, I'm David Davis from Actual Tech Media. We're here at VMworld 2018. I'm excited to be joined by Mr. Cameron Crandall, Senior Technology Manager at Kingston Memory. How you doing, Cameron?
Good, thanks, good.
Yeah, thanks for being on. So we're here at VMworld, tons of excitement. I'm sure you got a lot of people coming by your booth. Let's first talk about Kingston. I mean, when I think of Kingston, I think of memory in my server, you know, or my laptop or desktop, whatever it might be. I assume you guys still sell memory.
We do.
Right? But beyond just regular memory, what else does Kingston do these days?
So like you said, yeah, most people know us for our DRAM memory products, and that's still a big part of our business. The other half of our business is the flash side of our business, where we produce USB drives, USB cards, and then a growing part of our business is the solid-state drive portion of our business. So these are basically hard drive replacements for notebooks, desktops, and servers.
Okay. So if I need some flash memory in my servers, whatever the use case might be, caching for vSphere or something like that, I could buy one of your drives and put it in there.
Absolutely. So VMware and virtualization is taking advantage today more and more of flash-based technology because the cost is coming down. We're really coming down low in price, especially right now. We've introduced 3D NAND technology, which is across the industry has brought the cost of flash-based SSDs down dramatically. So as the cost comes down, we're seeing more and more SSDs creeping into more applications, being used not only for cache, but also as online main storage. And typically in a virtualized environment, you've got a kind of a tiered storage approach. You've got your high performance SSDs running your fastest workloads, right, and then your warm and cold storage, based on the application usage.
Yeah. So you guys sell both consumer grade and enterprise grade flash storage. What's the difference between the two?
Great question. So we get that question quite often. So the difference between a client SSD, what we would use in our computers at work, and what goes into a data center server are actually vastly different. And it really has to do with the performance tuning that we do for a data center workload, because what you and I do on our computer today isn't real taxing to an SSD. Right. Our duty cycles are probably in the 10 to 30% range, where a data center application can be 100% duty cycle, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. So what we do on data center SSDs is we actually tune those drives to deliver performance consistency. We use a term called QoS, or quality of service, to define this consistency on SSDs, and it really pertains to the delivery of I/O performance and latency delivery. So we don't want to have an SSD that gives really good performance for a short period of time, falls off a cliff, and then comes back up. The same could be said for latency. We want to deliver nice, good, clean latency over a long period of time. We don't want latency to shoot up to 500 milliseconds and then drop back down to 2 milliseconds. So a lot of the tuning that we do in our firmware when we're building an SSD for a server is around that consistency. And that comes at a cost sometimes, right? So we may not be hitting peak levels of performance that we may market on a data sheet, but that's really secondary. The primary goal for a data center customer is that performance consistency piece, because they need to rely on some level of predictable performance.
Okay. All right. So vastly different between consumer and enterprise grade, mainly due to the quality and the performance of the drives. Okay. And then what about when it comes to purchasing, or learning about these drives? What do companies do? Do they go to their local VAR? Do they go to the web? How do they learn more about Kingston Flash Storage?
So you can go to our website, obviously. Kingston has a very large presence in the distribution channel. So we're in all the major distributors around the world. We have a reseller network as well. And then we also service kind of our smaller system integrators on an indirect basis. And then they actually purchase through some of our direct resellers. But we can be found in all the major distributors, the larger resellers around the globe, and obviously at our website.
Okay, yeah, kingston.com, right?
Correct.
Okay, and then last question I want to ask you before we go, what's hot at the booth? What are people talking about? What's cool?
I think that the NVMe technology is what most storage professionals are kind of trying to understand. The technology is new. It's not mainstream yet. The performance over the traditional hard drive interfaces is tremendous. The ecosystem doesn't really exist today for NVMe-based storage, so what you kind of see are kind of siloed implementations of NVMe storage, kind of in smaller storage configurations, kind of a very fast tier. But definitely the industry is going in the direction of all NVMe-based storage, not only in the data center, but also in client-based systems. It's actually happening faster on the notebook and desktop client space because those systems adapt quicker. The data center tends to move a little bit slower, but eventually the goal is to replace refrigerator-sized enclosures full of SATA and SAS hard drives or SSDs with a PCI Express and NVMe interface. That's kind of looking out the next 5 to 6 years. That's where server storage is going to be.
Okay, and to clarify, on the flash drive itself, it's not a SAS or SCSI interface. It's a PCIe interface with the NVMe protocol. Is that how it works?
Correct. So NVMe works over the PCI Express bus. You connect to a system in a couple of different ways. You either connect with a half-height, half-length card internally inside the server, but the more popular way to do it, and then where our industry is going, is in the 2.5-inch, what we call U.2 form factor. So it follows the same kind of standard SSD hard drive 2.5-inch form factor, and that's front loading in the front of servers. So most of your mainstream servers today have, they've got 8, 16, 24 drive bays in the front of them. Today, the majority of those systems are based on SATA and SAS technology. That's going to transition to NVMe and PCI Express. So instead of those lanes on the backplane going to a SATA or SAS controller, they're actually going directly to the processor. And that's where we get all the speed from.
So massive performance can be gained out of NVMe.
Absolutely, it's staggering, actually.
I'm really excited to see the future of that, how that's going to take shape in data centers and even hopefully on my local laptop as well. So, very cool. Thanks so much for your time today.
Thanks.
Thank you.